Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to give the video a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. Thank you so very much, family. Now, certainly, if you have been following my work over the years, of course, I've been on African Diaspora News Channel for some years now, and I've been on other networks and platforms. And some of you all tend to recognize me from years and years ago, helping to build other platforms and bring great profit and credibility to those individuals as well. So I've been doing this a minute now. Yes. So I want you to know that I have been discussing certain Black looking members of establishment media. Establishment media, family, is the media that white folks say is okay for you to be on because they know you're no threat. You're not looking for revolution. You're not looking for advancement for your people. You're looking for extra crumbs and biscuits. They know that you will be a tool to pump their white supremacist agenda through under the guise of whether it's Republican or Democrat, but always tethered to the powers that are in place and never about true Black advancement. They say that they're not going to push reparations in any serious way. They'll hint at it, but they'll never make it an absolute must for either party. They know that they'll cover for war. They'll cover for illegal migrants getting resources. They'll cover for the oppressive white class getting all kinds of goodies, but you're not getting it. They know that you'll go for Armenians getting reparations, write-offs from the IRS. That's a whole nother country from 100 years ago. In the United States, they get write-offs with the IRS in some parts of the nation. But you're not going to get IRS write-offs for your reparations. They know that they'll push and support all kinds of weird stuff, medical stuff, all kinds of stuff, using their Black skin and every now and then some pro-Black talking points. So they feel comfortable bringing you on and giving you that platform because you're going to do their bidding. And you're more effective in some instances because you look like them. I've been discussing the problem with the adversary within that is equally, if not more dangerous than them folks. The reason, because those that are within proximity of you are the ones that's giving them folks the inside play. And they're coming in as a spoiler, as a saboteur, as a spy, as an agent on their behalf to destroy you from within. That's why Black looking media are dangerous. And they keep us in a lull, docile, and not asking for too much. That's why they're dangerous, in part. And this would include the Tiffany Crosses of the world. Now, Tiffany Cross is as useless as ever. And she had a weekend show on MSNBC. They fired her. Whisper that, they fired her. Did you hear what I said? Her co-host on their little podcast called Native Land, Angela Rye, used to be on CNN. They fired her. Meaning they didn't renew their contracts and stuff. Andrew Gillum, the third co-host of the Native Land, was supposedly for a minute an upcoming rising Democrat darling and star, in other words. He was, I think, the mayor of Tallahassee in Florida. He ended up running to be governor. He was pretty effective in some of his debates, so they tried to shut him down. He ended up getting busted in a bussy scandal. That's all I'm going to say about that. He was up in the hotel, busted, recorded with something tooted up and smoking something. But them folks that had deep voices and beards, we just going to leave it at that. While he had a wife and kids and stuff at home. So they shut that down. Then they brought a Fed case against him, which he overcame that case. But a lot of Democrats didn't really have his back. So all these rejected former Democrat operatives, whether they was on MSNBC, whether they were on CNN, or whether they were a politician that the Democrats threw away and don't revere as important and influential, they have a show together. Now watch this clip of Tiffany Cross talking to us, a contributor on Revolt TV, about an elitist, anti-Black podcasting comment that she made recently. Watch this clip.
I want to talk a little bit about Joe Budden because I'm hearing what you guys are saying, and I've listened to Native Land, so I get the vibes. I'm your audience. I am your target audience. Joe and his friends don't seem to think that. There was a conversation with them on their show recently, sort of calling you guys out about your conversations about anti-intellectualism, and they don't see it as a safe space. They believe there's a divide, and I just want, if you saw those clips, number one, and then if you did, what you thought about the conversation they had.
I've only seen clips that people sent me, but I understand they did an entire segment, and I have every intention of watching the entire segment because I'm curious what they had to say. But I do think it's a really important conversation for us to have, because on the show, the point that I was trying to make is that there is an anti-intellectual movement ravaging the Black community, and that is true. And a part of that movement includes things like social media, AI, and yes, it does also include this very toxic podcast bro landscape that not only divides us in our love for each other, but also in our politics.
Okay, so did you hear Tiffany Rye fired MSNBC Tiffany Rye? Okay. Sit there and say that there's an anti-intellectual movement ravishing the community. She talking like this is an outbreak of a disease. She says ravishing our community. Anti-intellectualism from Black intellectuals. She blamed social media. Did y'all hear that? She blamed some of the podcasting stuff. This is in recent times because Joe Budden, which has a very, very, very large Black media podcast, known around the world for his podcast, he went off on her and Angela Rye and them, specifically Angela Rye, to keep his name out their mouths, because they made an elitist comment basically saying that by Dr. Mark Lamont Hill going on his podcast, basically that Dr. Mark Lamont Hill is too intellectual. He's basically, in other words, too good for his show. The largest, one of the largest Black podcasters in the world, they said that Mark Lamont Hill, as I call him, he too good for that. He shouldn't have been on there. He's an intellectual, and in other words, it was beneath him to go over there. I'm paraphrasing. So Joe Budden, in that clip that you just saw, put Tiffany in her place, put Angela rather specifically in her place by saying he don't even talk about their name. And that he provided a podcast for this Black man when mainstream media rejected him. And they disrespected him. And they did. I'm not here to defend all the stuff that Joe Budden do. I don't watch his show like that. But in that comment, it sounds a lot like what I've been saying over the years. I was saying that long before Joe Budden. And so after Joe Budden came out and put them in their place, all of a sudden Tiffany Cross, Angela Rye, Charlemagne the God, Bakari Sellers, and Andrew Gillum, all of them did one big show together in response to Joe Budden going off. You know why? Because they know it's very dangerous for someone of Joe Budden's status to be parroting talking points that sounds like stuff that I would say, or other folks that are in similar alternative Black media like me saying about them. First of all, let's be clear. I have never, ever, 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 ever accused them of being intelligent. Let's be clear. I have never accused them of being smart. So it's arrogant for them to think that. But how dare they think they're more intelligent than us because them folks gave them a degree. Or them folks gave them a little platform for which they're fired now. Don't want them. Intelligence never came from them folks first. And I know it's those folks' family. Them folks, we're making a particular point when we say it that way. There's a certain energy when we say it that way. Don't start feeling yourself because we say it like that. But how dare you? Intelligence is not limited to formal education and sitting in some place or going in debt to get a degree. And a lot of you all go into debt for degrees that you don't even have jobs in now. So how intelligent is that? Some of us that are doing things on our own, we're at least able to make our rent and take care of bills based on what we do our way. I want Tiffany Cross and the rest of those Black boule looking folks to know this. If you are not able to utilize alternative media to get your message out without attacking us and always whining about your lack of influence, How intelligent are you really? Fannie Lou Hamer, the one that rocked the political system as we know it during the Civil Rights Movement, was a sharecropper from Mississippi that did not have a formal education like them. But she was a businesswoman. She was bad, and she shook the government in multiple ways and challenged the president of the United States to where he cut to go do a press conference to cut off her speech when she was challenging the Democrat Party. Look her up. Certainly, you would not spit and disrespect her. Now, let me say something to you. It's a misnomer that they're smarter than us. When they say that they're smart, they pretend that they're that because some folks told them that they're that. They say and whisper amongst themselves that they're that. But their realities and the fruit of who they are don't verify that. That's what you need to look at. There is a much more expansive definition of intelligence that we ought to be embracing and looking at. And we know that our ancestors understood that. And the danger of them is that they're the ones that put us in a position of devastation, politically, financially, economically, because they were the ones that was defending politicians that were very explicit about what they weren't going to do for us. They're the ones that were parroting agendas and trying to force them on the Black community, even when we told them to stop. They were the ones like Tiffany Cross. When she was on MSNBC with her show, during one of her shows, she literally told her audience not to listen to us. And she literally called one of us by name. Sometimes those pieces of paper are things, proof of your delusion. It keeps you in a state of like being hallucinated. And because you drunk and out your mind, you hiding out your mind, you mad that the rest of us not hiding drunk out your mind because you're the only one that believes that that's something. It's no disrespect on true academia, but some of these institutions are built to restrict your learning and your intelligence. And it's also to monitor who they perceive to be the intelligent among us so that they can restrict your learning so that you would never use your intelligence for the upbuilding and the advancement of your people. It can't just be classroom knowledge. It can include it. But it matters what you do with that knowledge. And we also know that the likes of the great Dr. Claude Anderson, who has a doctorate degree in a deep history in academia and who worked for the Carter administration, the Boule don't respect him because of how he uses his academia. The great Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, who was Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, may she rest in peace, was a psychiatrist, has a deep history in academia. But they don't respect her because of how she uses her academia. So they have absolutely no credibility. They're jealous, and they feel it's beneath them that you're listening to us. It's beneath them admitting that. But too bad, so sad. Of course, there's so much more I can say about that, but I'll let you speak below. My name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. Be sure to go to my website at VickiPlanet.com. I've got so many yummy products and services and special academies. I have one for just men, one for just women. There are payment plans available for that. I also have a monthly low-cost mastermind school. My students are getting all kinds of breakthroughs, beloved. Your life will never be the same. To learn more about who I am and what I do, go to VickiPlanet.com. That's VICKI Planet.com. Be sure to share the broadcast. I can't wait to see you again.